More development is going in, right along the airport flight path where people complain of too much noise. Colorado Republicans say if Trump can't be on the primary ballot, they won't have a primary. Colorado may get more control over what happens with gray wolves if we ever convince another state to give them to us. And week 347 of Your Good News takes us to Westminster, where kids received a gift and gave us honesty in return.
My good news is the weekend because I hate school.
Let's wrap up your week right here on Next. Noisy planes near the Centennial Airport are driving neighbors nuts. The airport suggests, well, why don't we stop building homes right in the flight path? Cities and developers aren't listening. Here's Cole Sullivan.
Most of the Centennial Airport's meetings about airplane noise,
it's not an occasional thing, it's becoming a regular thing,
go roughly like this.
I think a majority of us would agree that it's actually gotten worse.
Neighbors are making almost double the number of noise complaints compared to last year, averaging about 1,100 grievances filed every month. So when developers proposed building new condos and townhomes directly in the path of landing planes, Centennial Airport wrote planners with the city of Lone Tree saying essentially, please don't. The FAA even got involved, writing, again, we're paraphrasing, please, for the love of everything holy, don't approve these condos. More specifically, quote, residents of the proposed development will be subject to ongoing aircraft noise, and the FAA strongly opposes this proposed development. Well, the development isn't proposed anymore. Over the airport's and FAA's objections, the city approved it this month. A trend, one member of the airport's noise roundtable says.
But I find it extremely frustrating when the airport, I think for good reason, says this is not a good idea to build here, and the cities and towns just say, we don't care. It's money.
There are some caveats. The builder agreed to add fine print telling people buying the townhomes about the flight path and promised to test the decibel levels inside once they finish building. But the people tasked with listening to neighbors' noise complaints now expect to hear even more.
And the people that live in those areas are going to be living under the same kind of noise and the same kind of concerns about safety that y'all have. So it's a big circle.
We tried to get in touch with the developer multiple times today, but didn't have any luck. The airport calls the city of Lone Tree, quote, a good partner with them and says they'll continue to work with city planners. Lone Tree told us it approved the development in accordance with city code, guidelines, and its comprehensive plan goal of developing more housing.
Yeah, they just all need to come with a disclaimer that says there will be plane noise. Press here for sample, and then you
Exactly.
can hear it,
Well, and the builder says they will provide that disclaimer. It's a question of whether people will listen and then complain about it regardless.
Yeah, ooh, look at that screaming deal. Oh, you didn't tell me. All right, Cole Sullivan, thank you. A Coloradan has had a falling out with her old employer. That would normally not make the news, but he is the former president of the United States, and she is one of his indicted co-conspirators. So, Jenna Ellis suddenly turning on Donald Trump is a potential dream scenario for prosecutors.
But everything that you just said resonates with me as exactly why I simply can't support him for elected office again. Why I have chosen to distance is because of that, frankly, malignant, narcissistic tendency to simply say that he's never done anything wrong.
This week, Colorado attorney Jenna Ellis, mugshot there, formerly one of Trump's most prominent supporters, turned on him. On a radio show, she said she won't support his re-election. She accused his supporters of idolatry. Ellis says she cannot stomach Trump's malignant narcissism. We'll allow you to decide if that is a new development with Mr. Trump or if the new development is that Trump has decided not to pay Ellis's legal bills for their trial in Georgia. The Colorado Republican Party says if Trump is taken off the primary ballot here, they won't hold a primary. They'll award delegates through another method. A group of voters is challenging whether Trump is eligible to run for office, citing the 14th Amendment, which bars candidates who have supported an insurrection.
And it's my duty to make sure that they all have access and a fair shot at our voters so that they can make the case. And our voters equally have a right to listen to each of these candidates and ensure that they're well informed before they make that crucial vote on Super Tuesday.
That's Colorado GOP Chair Dave Williams discussing the lawsuit with the head of the American Center for Law and Justice, which is the conservative legal organization representing the state GOP in this case. They're asking to intervene in the long-shot lawsuit, seeking to keep Trump off the ballot. They've said that the lawsuit involves them because Democratic Secretary of State Jenna Ellis is not likely to fight hard enough in order to keep Trump on the ballot. The former police officer put a woman in a patrol car on railroad tracks where she was hit by a train, has been sentenced to 30 months probation and public service. Former Fort Lupton officer Jordan Steger was convicted of misdemeanor endangerment and assault. About a year ago, she and another Fort Lupton officer arrived to assist with a traffic stop after a road rage incident. Steger seen on body camera video putting the handcuffed suspect, Yelena Rios, in the back of a Platteville patrol car. Moments later, the car was hit by a freight train and Rios was seriously injured. Steger was fired by Fort Lupton PD after her conviction. She and other officers are also facing a lawsuit from Rios. State regulators say that Wyatts Towing did nothing wrong when it seized the car of the state senator who wrote the law against predatory towing. The incident led the Attorney General's office to reveal that it is investigating Wyatts after receiving almost 1,000 complaints this year. Wyatts towed Democratic Senator Julie Gonzalez's car from a mixed-use garage, but Gonzalez blamed vague signage. She also said that Wyatts did not offer her a payment plan to get her car back. The senator said that that violated the state's new Towing Bill of Rights law, which she co-sponsored. But the Public Utilities Commission, which enforces towing rules in our state, closed her complaint. They said that towing companies have to have payment plans, but they don't have to tell customers that they exist. And they chalked up the towing to a miscommunication between Wyatts and the lot manager. You ever see somebody driving in a roundabout and you can just tell from the look on their face that they have no idea what they're doing? They're in the thing, they're going around, they don't know what the rules are. You add a big truck to that situation, we got real bad news. There's a new state law, though, to deal with that. Steve Steger, our man who covers everything on wheels, is here to explain. Do you ever see that, Steve? You see it in their eyes in the roundabout where they're just like, what in the fresh hell is this? Yeah. And they've got no idea what to do.
And it amazes me because they've been around for a really long time. Like, you've probably gone through one at some point.
You would think.
You know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Well, so the goal of this is to make these circles safer for large trucks and buses that often have to cross over the center lane if it's a 2-lane traffic circle in order to make that circle. So follow me here because this gets a little complex. So the law specifically says if you are driving a normal-sized vehicle, you've got to give the right of way to vehicles that are 35 feet or longer. No, you don't have to run out with a measuring tape. Think trucks, buses, fire trucks, farm equipment, that kind of stuff. And think about a circle. So it's tough for those long vehicles to curve around the roundabout, so they naturally are going to take up a lot of space, maybe cross that line. So starting October 1st, if you pull up to a roundabout and a truck is already making that circle, wait for it to pass before you pull in. Don't try to squeeze in, the law now says. It became law because of a lot of close calls.
You'll have a vehicle attempting to enter a roundabout, a multi-lane roundabout, I should say, alongside or inside a larger vehicle. And as those vehicles sort of tend to travel across the traffic lanes, that's created some fairly unsafe situations for motorists.
Penalty if you're caught not following that law, a $70 ticket. You're not likely to have cops patrolling for this, though. It's likely going to happen if you cause a crash with a large vehicle in a roundabout. It's super confusing when you read the actual law. So the simplest way to think about it is if a truck is already there, stay back until that truck is clear. Don't try to squeeze into that other lane because it's going to squeeze across the line. Just stay back.
It's kind of commonsensical. You know, just because you can go doesn't mean you have to go. And I know when I've encountered a truck in those situations, I think, you know what, you take your turn.
Yeah, I mean, think about it, because it's long, and if it doesn't, kind of twist, it's not going to be able to make it around the circle. And if those lanes are pretty narrow, it makes it pretty tough. So
if only people could have seen you acting this out with your body as you talked about it on TV.
Yeah, lots of
that. You were steering it with your body, which I really appreciated. You get into these things,
No
Steve.
problem.
Thank you. That's why you're a transportation reporter. Mm-hmm. So there's a nonprofit in our community that is working on the shortage of daycare and preschool workers in Colorado with an innovative approach. They offer older people free training if they want to have a second career in the classroom. They tell me that a number of their volunteers are men who say that they regret working so much when their kids were that young. They feel like they kind of missed out on that stage of life. Your latest Word of Thanks microgiving campaign has raised $5,000 and counting for the Early Childhood Service Corps. They offer free basic training for people who just want to volunteer in these classrooms, but they also offer advanced college-level coursework, again, for free, to older Coloradans who want to become early childhood teachers and subs. They also connect people who have business experience with early childhood centers that need help balancing their books. And then they connect those trainees directly with places across Colorado that need the volunteers and staff. Scan the QR code on your screen or text the word THANKS to 303-871-1491 to get that link to join me and a bunch of other people in donating to the Early Childhood Service Corps. You got it.
Good news is I got 2 bikes now.
We are coasting through the end of the week with kids' answers to our favorite Friday question. Nothing but blue sky. From now on, a famous mountain will shed the name of a man behind a racist massacre and instead pay tribute to Colorado's native history. And Colorado's wolf reintroduction plan gets the go-ahead from the feds. All we need are wolves. After months of deliberation and a last-minute delay, it is official. Mount Evans is now Mount Blue Sky. Federal board voted to approve that name change this afternoon. The mountain in Clear Creek County had been named for Governor John Evans, who, among other things, authorized the Sand Creek Massacre, which killed more than 200 Cheyenne and Arapaho in 1864. The Southern Cheyenne and Arapaho tribes wanted the name changed to Mount Blue Sky, and that was the proposal that was signed off on by a state advisory board and the governor. Final vote by the federal board was on pause for months because there was opposition from the Northern Cheyenne tribe in Montana. They said they used that phrase, blue sky, in their ceremonies. They thought the name would be sacrilegious on the mountain. The federal board decided to go ahead with the Mount Blue Sky name anyway, rather than the Northern Cheyenne's proposed alternative, Mount Cheyenne Arapaho. Colorado keeps creeping along with this voter-required plan to reintroduce gray wolves on the western slope, despite the fact that we still have not landed a wolf supplier. The states with wolves that we've asked have said, not interested. Today, federal regulators signaled that they're going to give ranchers and state wildlife workers more leeway in responding to wolf attacks. U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service published a draft rule designated Colorado's wolves as what they'd call a non-essential experimental population. What does that mean? It means you can kill them in more instances. It's an exception to the federal endangered species protection, which prohibit killing gray wolves unless a human life is in danger. Instead, under this proposed rule, Colorado could designate other situations where killing would be appropriate, like if a wolf is actively attacking livestock. The rule does not apply to the wolves that are already in Colorado, the ones that wandered down from Wyoming, and won't go into effect until later this year. Lauren Robinson, this was a soggy Friday, but we've been promised blue skies for this weekend.
That's exactly right. We've already seen the last of our rain here in Denver and most of the urban corridor. We're just waiting for the last scattered rain showers to continue to push their way south and east and out of Colorado. In the meantime, we do still have some lingering cloud cover. 63 degrees right now at DIA. A little bit of sunshine out there. Winds coming in from the west at around 5 miles per hour. Now, as you take a look at our HD Doppler radar, this is exactly where you can see those couple of lingering showers and storms pushing their way southward and out of Colorado. And then a couple of showers and storms across the western slope. Those will continue to move on out as well. So as we go through the rest of the evening, we will continue to see that clearing. As far as severity, any storms that are left, not likely to become severe. We've just had this general thunderstorm risk throughout the day, meaning maybe some heavy, quick downpours, gusty winds, lots of lightning and thunder. Now we're going to continue to see those clearing skies tonight. Overnight lows in Denver near 46 degrees, so a bit chillier once the cloud cover and all the rest of those showers and storms move their way out. Calm winds throughout the evening. Now we do have a couple of very important football games happening in Colorado. A very busy Colorado football weekend. The first one being CSU at CU. This is going to be tomorrow evening where we're going to see those clear skies, temperatures in the 60s. We'll be cooling down for the evening. Tomorrow afternoon we'll be maxing out in the middle 70s, so you just want to be prepared for more fall-like weather on Saturday. We'll warm up even further though once we get into Sunday. So this is where we're going to see the Broncos game, temperatures in the 80s under lots of sunshine there. So watch for a kind of intermediate day Saturday. We warm up Sunday and we stay pretty warm and sunny through the rest of the 7-day forecast.
A national blood shortage inspired some of our viewers to donate, and that's how we learned the Red Cross doesn't do blood drives here. And we are riding high into the weekend. Not high like we're surreptitiously vaping at a musical, but you know, a natural high. Your good news, next. You've seen it all over the news lately. The American Red Cross says their blood supply is critically low and they're in desperate need of donors. Our next question comes from a viewer named Richard. He tried but couldn't find a Red Cross blood drive anywhere near Denver. He wants to know why they aren't organizing in the metro area. So, Rich, it's not just the metro area. A Red Cross spokesperson told us the Red Cross doesn't collect blood anywhere in Colorado, although they are involved in the distribution of blood donations to hospitals in the Denver area. And this is not a recent thing either. Red Cross says they haven't ever collected blood in Colorado. You could have fooled me. They said it's due to infrastructure issues. They cited the fact that their Denver office, for one, isn't zoned correctly for blood donation drives. So if you want to donate blood in Colorado, you got to go with another organization. A bunch of students in Arvada are starting the weekend with a new bike. It's part of an annual bike giveaway to honor fallen officer Gordon Beasley. He's a former school resource officer who's known for biking to and from school with kids. We dropped by that bike giveaway with our favorite Friday question. What's your good news?
Today what's going on is a bunch of people from Townsend Retirement banded together and they're building 86 bikes for kids at Swanson Elementary and Secrest Elementary and making a lot of second graders happy today.
When you get a kid a brand new bike, or any bike for that matter, you're allowing them to have freedom, you're allowing them to have independence, you're allowing them to build a community with the other kids that are in the neighborhood. And every second grader in this building is going to go home with a brand new bike today.
My good news is getting to be a part of making 86 second graders happy today, getting them on their first bikes and getting to see all the screaming happy faces.
My good news is that my aunt is not going to need the dialysis we thought she would, and my cousin just had a brand new baby. He's very cute. His name's Jericho.
My good news today is I'm going to get my cast off my foot a week from Friday.
My good news is I have a happy, healthy family, and go see you, Buff.
You know how to ride? Yes. I don't have to help you? Okay, go. Good job, Sean.
My good news is the weekend because I hate school.
But if you didn't come to school, you wouldn't get this bike.
My good news is getting a new bike today.
This is good news.
That's sweet. Sometimes the news should be sweet. First, thank you. Here's your feedback. We'll see if it's sweet. Usually it's not. Feedback tonight from Nate, who does not like the new state law telling people to yield to big trucks in roundabouts. He says, so I don't have the same right as somebody who drives a truck because I drive a sedan? This seems a disadvantage to me as a car owner. It is a disadvantage, Nate. That's the reason why the law exists, to keep us from putting on your headstone, I stood up to trucks. Michael and Sheila Anderson write in tonight mad that I said what in the fresh HE double hockey sticks. He said, kids don't need that language, shame on you. And Red says, Kyle is a gem and he's damn good. Oh, I swore again. He's good at what he does and he's a rarity in the news business, and that he's fair and apparently vulgar. See you next time.